So I've been thinking about the way I think about changing or growing, like how I'm going to change or grow from where I am now to where I want to be. And it's not about any specific kind of change or growth. It could be about how much anxiety I have or how unhealthy I am right now or my creative habits and where I want them to go or be. What I've been thinking about are the metaphors that I use when I think about that kind of change or growth. And one of them is like a rapid state change. Like proteins in your body, sometimes when they come in contact with something else, they all of a sudden rapidly change their state, like actin and myosin when they come in contact or lose a phosphate molecule. And that's one model for change, right? You're gonna come in contact with something or someone or change a job or win the lottery and suddenly everything's gonna be different. But the weird thing about that model is I don't really know much about that person that I change into. Like he's different than I am now, right? He works out more, he's excited about working out, or he's not anxious at all, or he has amazing creative drive. And a lot of the things that I have now are absent in that person. So it's almost like a different person altogether. I guess when I look back, I've been hoping for that kind of a change, like a rapid, sudden change in almost any aspect of my life that I can think of. And I don't think that it's happened. But of course, there's a different metaphor for change, and that's slow growth. And it's very different if you think about it. And the first time that I heard a metaphor like this that actually impacted me, it was in a misquote of a quote. And so I'm going to read you first the actual quote, and then I'm going to tell you the version of it that I thought was pretty awesome. So the actual quote goes like this, and it's from Carl Jung, the psychologist. In some sense, a person is her wounds. A sapling planted beside a supportive stake that the gardener neglects to remove will grow around the stake. The stake's presence will injure the growing tree. The tree will adapt by distorting its natural shape to accommodate the stake. But the mature tree will be the shape it has taken. It cannot be cured of the injury. The injury is an intrinsic aspect of its nature. So the version I heard is actually very, very close to it, but a little different. The version I heard, it was a sapling that someone carves something into, which I think is a little bit more injurious. And if you think about the proportion of that injury to the size of the sapling, it's big. It takes up, 10% of the entire thing. And the question was, you can't really cure that sapling of that injury, right? The only thing that you can do is grow the tree. And that's kind of the challenge, emotionally growing the tree, so that the size of the injury in proportion to the tree is small. But trees grow by themselves. People, at least their emotional parts, don't just grow by themselves. Not always. And if there's an injury, a lot of attention can be paid to it. And you sort of grow around the injury, or you don't grow up at all. You just focus on it. I guess what I love about that metaphor is that it allows who you are now to be part of who you're going to be, but still accounts for growth and change. Like, this is a side note, but I once had to have a tiny piece of flesh removed from the inside of my throat, like a tonsillectomy, but it was so freaking painful. Like massively painful. And I asked the doctor, I was like, kids go through this? And he was like, yep. And, it's going to be a lot worse for you. They're back on their feet, in a couple days. And I was like, what? Their pain receptors aren't as strong or something? And he was like, no, they've just got a lot of other things on their mind, so it doesn't bother them as much. It's a bit confusing, but I like to think that there's a future where I experience the world pretty much like I do now. I have the same impulses to sitting on a couch. I have the same anxieties, but I also have a whole kind of treasure trove of other interests and other passions that kind of shift the focus in different directions. It allows for a kind of change that doesn't involve winning the lottery. And just while we're talking about this, I want to say monkey balls.